So you've been asking for it, dingo, which is the second most dangerous snake in the world. And I filmed this a while ago, and I've had a crisis of conscience here because there's another snake I managed to handle earlier on this year, which has, in my opinion, changed my perspective on the 10 most dangerous snakes in the world to handle. And I've launched it up to equal my previous number 2. So I'm going to show you the video as it was, and then watch to the end because I'm going to show you which species equals out at number 2 of the world's most dangerous snakes. I hope you enjoy it. In this series, The World's Most Dangerous Snakes, I expand on an idea first introduced by wildlife presenter Nigel Marvin as I count down what I believe to be the 10 most dangerous snakes in the world. We look at 4 rating factors. Number 1, venom toxicity. 2, proximity to people. 3, personality. And 4, a special category known as the X factor. Each snake is given a score out of 10 for each category. The scores are then combined to reach a total out of 40, and the snakes are rated based on that overall score. Hi guys, Dingo here, and welcome to our second to last video in this series, The World's Most Dangerous Snakes. In this big bucket here, you might be able to hear the snake. If you come closer here. Can you hear that sound? There's a big snake in here going. And the most amazing thing, I'm at a mate's house today, and 5 years ago, this snake was imported into South Africa. And it's actually, yeah, it's the first time I've seen this snake in many, many years. And there are 3 snakes on my list of the world's most dangerous that I get nervous about handling. The one, the further lance, or the lancehead from South America. The second, the snake in here. And the third one is coming next week in our finale, the world's most dangerous snakes. So let's open up here. See what the snake's doing first. Bring the camera in here. Have a look at that beautiful big monster of a snake inside of here. Beautiful, beautiful snake. It's the West African forest cobra. I'm going to bring it out in a moment. Let me just put the lid down here. Can you hear that sound? Isn't it a spectacular snake? And look at the girth of the snake. Isn't that huge? There he is, the West African forest cobra. Isn't that spectacular, guys? Look at that. He's a big boy. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. He's a big boy. And they're absolutely beautiful coloration too. What I love about these snakes, and particularly the ones that we brought in a few years ago, that hood marking you see on the back of the hood there. It's the hood marking. It's also the intelligence that the snake is showing right now. Just want to get my hook stick. And what you can see the snake's doing is it's coming at me, but it's using its body. And just now when it was climbing up on its own body. Isn't it incredible? There's actually 5 different species now of forest cobras. And all of them are slightly different in personality, in temperament, and in look. And this snake originally came in from Togo, up in West Africa, Northwest Africa. Just want to move this out the way if we can. Here it comes. Here we go, just sit there for a little bit. And as I was saying, this snake originated from Togo, and that's why it's got this very unique hood marking on the back of its hood. Most forest cobras don't have that. And isn't it the most beautiful forest cobra you've ever seen in your life? You can see I'm already a bit out of breath. And that's because I have more respect for this snake than almost any other snake on the planet. Now I know some of you might be thinking, Dingo, we thought after the coastal taipan last week The number 2 would be something like the eastern brown from Australia. Another one of the Australian snakes. No ways. When it comes to looking at dangerous snakes in the world, one of the snakes I respect more than any other snake except for one is the West African forest cobra. They're absolutely spectacular, they're huge. The 4th longest venomous snake in the world, and actually the longest true cobra. So when you're talking venomous snakes and length, you're talking king cobra number 1, black mamba number 2, some of the bushmasters like I've got at home, number 3, and then the biggest true cobra in the world, the forest cobra. Gets in right up past the 3-meter mark. Really super big snake. So let's get straight onto our factors of why I say this is the 2nd most dangerous snake in the world. So when it comes to our first category, we're talking toxicity of venom. And all the most toxic venomous snakes in the world, there you're looking at your elapids like this big cobra here. Neurotoxic venoms that kill people really quickly. A bite from a forest cobra, that'll put you down, especially a cobra this big. I mean, look at the size of the venom glands on the back of his head. Absolutely massive. Hello, big boy. Hello. Ooh, opens his mouth at me there, flick of the mouth. Look how alert he is. But they've got huge yield of venom, and they've got massive venom glands to hold that venom in, and they've got a potent, super potent neurotoxin. And what that venom will do, it'll stop all the messages going from my brain to the rest of my body, the muscles in my body. So the venom covers up the synapse. So my brain is telling my diaphragm to contract and to relax right now. It's telling my heart to beat. And this venom, the reason it kills people so quickly is it stops those messages getting to those muscles in your body. So your brain's telling your diaphragm, contract, that lets me breathe. And this neurotoxic venom comes in, closes that synapse, muscle stops moving, and your diaphragm stops, gets paralyzed, and that's how you die from a bite, from asphyxiation, from a bite from a neurotoxic snake. After that, your heart would stop, but before your heart stops, you're dead from suffocating. And a snake like this, with this much venom, it'll put you down in under 2 hours. No doubt about it, a big bite from this snake. I'm highly allergic to all mambas and cobras, taipans, or elapid venom. So with me, I'll be dead in about 30 seconds from a snake like this. So I have to be super careful. And that's why working with the snake, which is so intelligent, and you saw that earlier when I had it up like this, it climbed up its own body, and a lot of snakes try to do that, but they just slide back off. This guy, super clever snake. He's been around people before. And climbing up on his body, leveraging off, mouth was opening, smart snake. Very few snakes in the world that show this kind of intelligence. So when it comes to toxicity of venom, I'm going to give the forest cobra a big 8 out of 10. And guys, that brings us to our second category. He's swinging around at me now. I'm watching you, buddy. Our second category, and that's the proximity that these animals find themselves with human beings. Obviously, the more they're around human beings, the more dangerous it is. And the forest cobra is found throughout Africa. And like I said earlier, originally, everything was just known as the Nigel, the Naya, Melaleuca. And recently, last year, it was separated into 5 different species. But for the argument of this test that we're doing, we're going to put all the forest cobras together, because recently they still were one species, and they found from Zululand in KwaZulu-Natal, where I live, beautiful coloration there, cream at the top part of their body, and then that's pitch black at the bottom, right up the east coast of Africa, right up onto the west central Africa, and right up, like I said, from Togo area. And they come into contact with people throughout Africa. So you'll get call outs in Zululand. This snake has come into my home, and they want to eat snakes, they want to eat lizards, they'll eat toads and frogs, rats, mice, they'll eat almost anything. And that's why the snake comes around people's homes. So people throughout Africa, particularly in rural Africa, will have houses that will attract rodents. Sometimes those will attract other snakes. Frogs, toads will come around when you've got little pools around or ponds or things like that. And these snakes will come in looking for their prey items. And unfortunately, people are dying from forest cobra bites throughout Africa almost every day. I've been into North Africa, and to see the destruction caused by these big, beautiful leopards is quite horrendous. So proximity to people, because Africa is such a populated continent, and this snake is found so far throughout Africa, I'm gonna give this snake a big 8 out of 10 for proximity to human beings. And guys, that brings us to our third category. And the third category is the personality of the snake. And that's where the forest cobra sets itself apart from many other snakes in the world. So there are other snakes, eastern browns, coastal taipans, other snakes with more venomous or more toxic venom. However, a lot of the times the personality lets them down. I've got Steve, the inland taipan at home. He's a 2-meter fierce snake, the most venomous snake on the planet. One bite kills 100 men or 250,000 mice. But I tell you what, I would rather cuddle with Steve any day than a West African forest cobra. It's because of the personality. Now watch what will happen. I'm gonna walk to your right, my left here. Watch, he's watching me. He's watching me. Oh no, there we go. I'll come here now. Now it's opening. I'll swing around by the camera. Look at that. Here we go, buddy. And you see that defensive characteristic. And that's not being aggressive, he's just being defensive. Got a little bit of grass in your mouth. It's just on his lip there, there we go, it's gone. But when these snakes first come in, and they're not used to human interaction at all, tell you what, there's few snakes in the world that have made my butthole pucker more than a West African forest cobra. I had one once up on a hook stick, which is not normally recommended with these snakes. I had him on a hook. He launched himself mid-air at me, mouth open, coming at the hook. I had to drop the hook, still had him by the tail, managed to pick the hook up again and hook him again. It was one of the best handling I've ever done, but I tell you what, it opened my eyes. I've been chased around my snake room by many West African forest cobras, and you open up the enclosure and it's just, whoa. Normally out here, they calm down a little bit, but you can see still, he's alert, he's watching. And truly, there are 3 snakes in the world that I get nervous with every single time. Look how high he's getting now. Every time I handle them. The one, as I mentioned, are some of the ferdinands like the asper from South America, our 5th most dangerous snake in the world. The second one is this snake right here. I'd rather handle almost any other snake in the world than handle this snake when it comes to which snake is more prone to bite people, which snake is more difficult to handle. So when it comes to personality, I'm gonna give the forest cobra a big 10 out of 10. And that brings us to our final category, and that's the X factor. That's a category that I've given to add in the special points to snakes that have certain characteristics around them that make them more dangerous but don't necessarily fit into the other categories. And there's few snakes that I work with in my life when I'm actually so in awe of. I'm actually falling in love with this snake. I absolutely love him. He's so bold, he is so defensive, he is so confident. And that's what you're seeing here. You're not seeing a nervous snake. I'm seeing a confident snake, a snake that says, Dingo, this is me, look how big I am. But if you come any closer, I'm gonna bite you on the face. You don't wanna bite on the face. But he's not being aggressive, he isn't chasing me. He's just watching. Any movement, watch here. As I move there, head goes that way. As I move here, head goes that way. Isn't it spectacular? The West African forest cobra. So when it comes to the X factor, these snakes are incredible. They're super quick. They're the longest true cobra species in the world. They have a toxic venom. They don't mind biting. And they're absolutely beautiful. And lastly, they're found throughout Africa. So when you look at all those factors together, you look at the fact that I'm more nervous handling this snake than any of the Australian big deadly leopards, I'm gonna give the forest cobra a massive 9 out of 10 for the X factor. And that brings the forest cobra to a huge 35 out of 40 on my list of the world's most dangerous snakes, and puts it in the second position. The beautiful West African forest cobra. Thanks for joining us today. Next week, we're gonna be bringing out the big number one. He's a massive snake, he's super angry, and you're gonna see why he's number one on the list. We'll see you then. Dingo out. So that was the original video, but there's another species of snake that comes from Australia, which I handled early on this year. And in my opinion, this snake scores exactly the same as the forest cobra. It's the Eastern Brown. Here's a highlight reel of me handling the Eastern Browns. You will not, but you won't believe it. Guys, we're driving here now. It's 7:45 at night. We're out here. Look here. Look what Roy's got. Roy, look what... Come on! This here is the second most venomous snake in the world. I'm going to put it down so we can see how fast it goes. Oh, stand up at me like that. Yes! Look at it! And as you saw, it was in his camera bag. He just picked it up with the hand, stuck in his camera bag, found it on the road like... Whoa! Yes! Eastern Brown is going for Birchie. He's going for Birchie. Yes! Come on, boy! Oh, how cool is this? He's considerably smaller than the leopards we get in South Africa. Look at it. Isn't that cool? A bite from this snake, 100% fatal for humans without anti-venom. With my allergies, I'm gonna die, no doubt about it. Here we go, it's okay. Small fang, really, really bad venom, and it's a neurotoxic venom. Gonna affect your nervous system. How's this? I'm blown away. When the Aussies say they can deliver, they can deliver. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Stuck in the camera bag.
Like this snake here, when you corner him, when you put him under pressure, when you're in his face, look what he wants to do. He wants to defend himself. The Eastern Brown in Australia. This has been one of the greatest days of my life.